Hey everyone, AJ here. Optima Batteries asked me to check in on a few friends, so I'm about to FaceTime off-road racer RJ Anderson and see what he's up to.
Hi.
Hey RJ, how's it going?
It's going. I mean, what a crazy time we're living in, right? I know it's affecting everyone, but yeah, trying to stay as busy as possible. So,
Yeah, you're right. You hit it, you kind of hit the nail on the head. I'm just kind of hanging out in my garage. So how are you doing on this fine afternoon?
oh, it's good. Just wrapped up a day here at the shop. So, without any racing going on, which is typically we'd be mid-season right now in full thrash mode, we're just tidying up some projects. That there's always those things that, oh, I wish I had time to do this, and we just built a simulator at the shop. Some fun things as well, and it's, I guess, kind of practice if you want to say that.
Yeah, I heard about this simulator, so are you able to kind of share it with us?
Show you our setup right here. So we actually
Okay.
built this setup in the shop. So it's got one of our race seats in it, and we got a Sparco Thrustmaster monitor and pedal assembly, and then basically it's just a PC computer. You install the iRacing, and what's cool is they have Lucas Oil Off-Road, which is the discipline that I race in. And when this all started 3 years ago, so iRacing actually came to my shop and scanned my two exact trucks. So the two vehicles that you could play in the game are the vehicles that actually I drive in real life. So it's funny, every time I see people hosting races and driving, I'm like, hey, that's my truck you're driving, you know? So
That's so cool.
we finally just got one built, and it's pretty fun. It's challenging for sure. My younger brother, he's got us all smoked at it, of course, but we just got it finished yesterday, so it's been a way to pass some time in the shop lately.
I have to say, if my son were there, he would be sitting there and racing his heart out because he loves to race. And he's 10, and I know you started at 14. How did all this start for you?
Well, the way I got involved is I guess, a little bit lucky in the sense that my dad is involved in off-road racing from the time I was born, basically. He was the crew chief of Walker Evans, and I don't know if you're familiar with Walker Evans, but he's a household name in off-road racing. Won
Okay.
tons of Baja 1000s and more desert-type racing stuff. And
I was going to say, is this a Baja 1000? Okay.
Yep. Yeah, like the Ivan Stewart, Walker Evans era. So my dad's been involved in it, ever since the get-go and since off-road racing kind of was started. So Walker retired when I was about 6 years old. So when I was a kid, I was traveling around to racetracks just with my parents. That was when I got to see my dad and hang out with my dad. And then he retired from racing, and they started manufacturing shocks and wheels. It's called Walker Evans Racing Shocks and Wheels, where my dad's now 50-50 partners with Walker. So through being in the industry, being in the business, I kind of got introduced to UTVs, which is now one of the main things of what I do. I'm a factory Polaris RZR driver. So right when UTVs got, kind of started getting some traction back in 2008,
Okay.
he was starting to make products for them, suspension components, and they were kind of leaning towards him. He was in the racing scene, he knew a lot about it, and it just was kind of a natural transition.
I have to say, those are very, very fun. Now, the difference between, let's say, the UTV that you would take out with your buddies versus what you race with, what are the different components? Is it, suspension, engine? Is it lighter?
Yeah, all the above. So basically, when you look at this car, it's got some simple bolt-on components. It's got tires and wheels, it's got some shocks, a cage, and seats. That's all we bolt onto this car. It's, basically add some style, make it our own, customize it with some graphics, throw some sponsor products on, but for the most part, it's stock. Where on this car, we are fully based on competition. So we move the radiator to the back, bigger radiator, better cooling, bigger motor, bigger turbo, heavier duty suspension components. This is a full long travel kit that's bolted on it. I would say there's $4,000 worth of accessories bolted on a play car and $25,000 of accessories on this car.
Oh,
so
wow.
they're just to put it in
Okay, so
kind
that's-
of, of dollar amount.
Yeah, and it's a difference of winning and in crossing that finish line. Obviously, your whole family's into off-road racing.
So yeah, so our team is just me and my brother. So
Okay.
it's just me and my brother and my family, but that's what consists of RJ37 OffRoad, which is what we call our team. So yeah, it's cool that I get to do it with my family. My dad's still around. He obviously has his own business, but my mom and dad get to come to the races and always cheer us on and support us. But it's rad getting to travel around the world with my brother for sure. I think that's what makes it so fun, because racing, even though it looks all fun and games online and on the internet, it's a lot of work at times, but getting to do it with my family is one thing that I really get to enjoy.
Now, you are considered a new breed of off-road racers. What does that mean to you?
What's cool about what I've been able to do in off-road is I've came from the from the UTVs, which is basically an entry-level part of racing, to worked my way up through a Pro Light is here in the center, which is what my brother races.
Okay.
A Pro 2, which is one of my vehicles, and now a Pro 4, which is this vehicle on the end, which is basically the very top of the food chain in short course. So I've been able to come from the UTVs all the way to winning a Pro 4 championship in 2018. So it's kind of cool that I was able to start at the very bottom, work my way through the ranks, and get to the top, because that's, as a kid, what you dream of doing. So I would say as part of a new breed, that's, kind of what that means to me, is being able to pave my own way.
Yeah, and I think that earns a lot more respect from fans and the audience, that it wasn't just handed to you. I mean, you, like you said, started from the bottom and worked your way up, and you have that respect.
Yeah, I know exactly. And what's cool is being able to run my own team. I'm here every day with my guys. I got a great team of guys, but me and my brother are here every day, seeing when we lose, what we can do to make it better, and when we win, enjoying it with our team. So
Yeah, now I've seen some of your footage, and you're a bit extreme, to say the least. One video I saw, and it was from, I believe, the XP1K, is that, am I pronouncing it correctly?
Yep.
Series, where a helicopter has your UTV, correct, and drops you in. I mean, I've seen that for skiing, but I've never seen that for a UTV. So tell me a little bit more about that, and what was it like shooting that? Because that was so crazy and insane, but yet so much fun to watch.
yeah, one of the cool things about my job is I'm one of the factory drivers for Polaris Razor, and I've kind of helped push the limits of showing people what they're capable of, which is the XP1K series, which you're one of the very few that's able to get it right off the get-go. So kudos to you for that, for not butchering the name. But
Thank you.
yeah, so when we did that series, it was basically just to show people what UTVs are capable of. And what's funny is, when I was a kid growing up, I was riding dirt bikes, and UTVs weren't around yet. So I always wanted to start racing dirt bikes and stuff. And my mom was a school teacher, and she was a teacher out kind of in the country a little bit, where a lot of kids grew up riding motocross. They could ride out from their house into the hills, and she always had kids coming through with broken bones and bumps and bruises, and her rule always was no racing dirt bikes.
I have to say that's a mom rule, because that's kind of my rule too.
The no racing dirt bikes turned into getting dropped in from helicopters and doing backflips in UTVs. So I'm not sure she exactly got her wish, but I listened to the no dirt bike rule, and that's kind of how I got started in four wheels, is I had to adapt.
So when all this quarantine and lockdown is lifted, what's next on your agenda?
Well, so like I was showing you earlier, the Lucas Oil Off-Road Series got postponed. I race Pro 4. This is my brother's Pro Light, and then my Pro 2 over here. And as soon as that gets lifted, we're supposed to start racing here, I sure hope. So right now, we're at June 5th and 6th is when our quarantine is up, I guess, for racing, and we can get these girls back on the track. But as you know, I don't know how much longer this is gonna keep progressing. So right now, fingers crossed, June 5th and 6th, we'll be in Arizona at Wild Horse Pass Motorsports Park. So
hopefully everything's moving in the right direction. I mean, I don't, like you said, I don't like to get my hopes up so high. It's kind of like we have to take everything on a day-to-day basis.
It's tough. Yeah, we have the guys here. I have such a small crew, that there's enough of us in my big shop that we can kind of stay separate from each other and do our own thing and abide by the social separation distancing rules. But hey, it's a crazy world right now, and all we can hope is that everyone gets through it safe, and then we'll get back to our business. I actually have a project truck I'm working on here.
Oh, let me see.
It's a 1966 Chevy that we actually took one of my old race motors out of, and are building kind of a hot rod street truck.
That is cool. That's like, I gravitate towards more like old trucks and muscle cars.
Yeah, I've dreamed of having an old Chevy truck like this for basically my whole life. I'm gonna leave it rusted just like this, and so it'll be pretty cool. It'll have 900 horsepower. Be able to take it out for lunch or something on the weekends, and it's going to be pretty cool. We're bringing some off-road flair in with the suspension setups, and we're going kind of wazoo, so I can't wait for things to get back to normal so we can kind of start tinkering on this thing again.
Yeah, and I love that you're just going to kind of leave it. You're not going to have it painted, because I have to say, I've been talking to a lot of builders lately, and this is kind of, I don't want to say it's a trend, but it's becoming more popular. Just kind of leaving it kind of like this patina.
It definitely is one of the trends right now, and so yeah, there's certain parts on it. This thing's from 1966, so you can see that it's got some weather damage and stuff like that that's going to need to be repaired. So it's almost, you know, nothing's easy when it comes to a build like this, but it's almost easier to make it, you know, fully painted than leave it this rustic condition.
Nice. And I noticed another thing other than, you know, kind of leaving it like this patina. I mean, gone are the days of the 500 horsepower engines. I mean, that almost seems like just too weak these days.
Well, so it's actually a funny story on why we decided to go 900 horsepower. In the Pro 2 class in Lucas Oil Off-Road, which is this truck right here, they just made a rules change where we're going with a little bit less horsepower motors, trying to save some drivetrain parts, make the class a little competitive, a little bit more affordable for people to get into. So this motor is directly out of my race truck. So it's 900 horsepower, naturally aspirated, no turbos, small block. It sounds pretty wicked. I don't know if you've heard any of our race motors, but this thing's definitely going to rumble the streets and make people give it a second look when they see the rust bucket coming through.
Nice. But see, that's the cool thing about it, because when you see a car or a truck that just screams, get the hell out of my way, people get the hell out of your way. And it's just cool, because then, you know, you'll pass by and most likely you'll get thumbs up and, you know, people clapping, because it's just, you don't see very many vehicles like that these days on the road. So I love those kind of cars.
Yeah, you know, I'm really stoked to get back to work on this thing here soon. Yeah, you know, there's two types of people. There's the era correct, which want to make it all back to 1966, and that are thinking, why the hell would you put that motor in there? But there's even way more people that are like, holy crap, I can't wait for you to take me for a ride in that thing. So it's definitely gonna eat some tires up.
Yeah, and of course you have Optima Batteries, correct? I got Optima Batteries in all my cars.
Of course. You can see it right up front here. So it's crazy how durable these batteries are. I was actually, before I was even sponsored by Optima, using them in just about everything I had. So I think the same story goes for many of the other guys on the Optima Batteries team. You know, it's just simply the best battery. And what we do, you can't have a failure. You know, we go through such brutal conditions, and even though it's a short amount of times, we put them through some of the harshest conditions. And even like my hot rod, you know, when I want to go start it on the street and show off, the last thing I want is a dead battery buzzkill, you know. So
exactly, everyone's all hyped up, and then it's just, you just keep cranking and nothing happens.
Batteries are super important, and the last thing you want to be left stranded with is a dead battery. So
I agree.
Well, I hope you enjoyed a little bit of the shop.
It's very cool. I mean, your shop, look at my garage. I mean, you've got all the excitement. You got a driving simulator. So, I mean, that right there.
yeah, you could hear some of the neighbors already came over and are burning it. I posted it up on Instagram, so I've had people, I want to come try yours out, because through this quarantine, they've gotten so popular, you can't find any of the setups anywhere. So the steering wheels, pedals are all sold out, so people are all fiending to drive it. So I've had some traffic come by and want to test it out.
So any fans or anybody that wants to watch any of these crazy videos of yours that I have seen, where can they find you?
So my biggest two platforms are Instagram. You can follow me at the RJ37, and on my YouTube channel, I'm starting to grow that now and push new content out there. So YouTube/the RJ37.
All right, RJ. Well, I will let you go on this hot afternoon that we're having, and hopefully soon, like you said, we'll all be released, and you can get back to doing what you do best.
It was nice to meet you, and stay safe.
All right, you too. And hopefully, if I'm ever in the Riverside area, I would love to try out your driving simulator, and my son probably would too.
Well, and hopefully my C10 will be done, and we can go leave some burnout marks around town. So next time in Riverside, let me know.
Sounds like a plan.
Talk to you soon.